The Fiber to the Home Council Europe focuses on one technology, as it says, Fiber to the Home, real broadband, the end game real broadband technology that can and will move forward Europe and towards Europe, of course, Romania, as a part of the European Union. Fiber to the Home is something that is already happening. I know in many countries, even countries that are for a long time member of the European Union, Fiber to the Home is still something far in the future, but it is something that has to happen now, and I will talk about that. At the beginning, I just would like to make some comments on the organization itself. It's a non-profit organization founded in 2004 with the idea to accelerate the deployment of Fiber to the Home by education and promotion. Our members are the industry of the Fiber to the Home part of the world. So you see all the big companies that offer Fiber to the Home solutions in our organization. What we don't have as members are operators. You won't find them in our organization. They are actually not allowed to become a member. Just to see that Fiber to the Home is something that is happening worldwide, I brought with me the global ranking of Fiber to the Home, the percentage of households connected to Fiber to the Home in the specific countries. The first message was we only found 11 countries in the world that have already more than 1% of households connected. The 11th one is the United States of America. That's the reason why we have the top 11, not the top 10. That was politically not possible. And you see some things in it. One is you see that the Asian countries are leading this ranking, but you also see some European countries. The first conclusion out of that could be that now Europe is far ahead. We have 5 or 6 countries in this ranking, but it's only a few countries in Europe that already saw Fiber to the Home is happening, and the rest of Europe is still far, far behind. The Fiber to the Home country in the world is Japan. I think most of you know that. They already have exceeded to have more than 10 million Fiber to the Home customers connected. They have a growth rate of up to 300,000 connections per month on Fiber to the Home. And in this country there is happening something very interesting. For the first time, Fiber to the Home is already replacing these old copper DSL technologies. So that means they have a negative growth rate of DSL connections and a positive growth rate of Fiber to the Home replacing these DSL connections. Another economy that is really growing extremely fast is the USA. They have a growth rate of more than 100% in the last years, and now more than 2 million homes connected with Fiber to the Home. So we have to ask ourselves, where is Europe in this market? And I brought some statistics with me, and then you see in Europe we have 800,000 to 1 million homes connected to Fiber to the Home today. That means in Japan, in 1/4 of a year, more households are connected than we have in Europe, in the whole European region, just to give you a picture. And 90% of these connections are made in just 4 countries. It's Sweden, Denmark, Italy, and the Netherlands. Europe has a very specific way in deploying Fiber to the Home. It's not the incumbents that deploy Fiber to the Home in Europe. It's mostly utility companies that do this as a long-term infrastructure service for the citizens. So if you look at Fiber to the Home in Europe, you find many power utility companies, municipalities doing this. The incumbents normally are extremely slow. There is a slow change now. France Telecom is acting, Telecom Italia is acting, Telefonica, but in the most of the countries, all these incumbents keep to their old copper infrastructure and don't go a step forward to Fiber to the Home. France is moving forward with Fiber to the Home very, very quickly. Even Switzerland is now moving forward on Fiber to the Home. As you know, in Switzerland everything has to be voted by the citizens, and in Zurich 2/3 of the citizens voted for Fiber to the Home built by the utility company there, because Swisscom only deployed VDSL and did not continue to go to a better and faster network. And what we are waiting for, it was already discussed today, is the new regulatory framework, because this is something very important for the Fiber to the Home and new next generation networks. You heard already some of the results. This new regulation is still in progress. It is moving forward, and it seems that for the first time next generation networks could be supported in this framework. We're looking forward to the end decisions. We also see the ideas of using old analog TV frequencies for the rural areas. From our perspective, that could be, again, a difficult thing to step back to old technologies instead, saying we go forward to the next infrastructure that can really provide that bandwidth that will be needed. If you look at macroeconomics numbers, you see we are in the middle of an industrial revolution. That means our economy, and that means the economy in whole Europe is changing. It's not easy to see that if you're in the middle of it. In 50, 60 years, we will really realize that. Today, if people are talking about knowledge economy, then this is something hard to define. It is nothing you can take there. You just can see that the labor-intensive work is moving away from Europe. First it was moved to the east here, to Eastern Europe, now it moves away to Asia. So there has to come something else, and that will be the knowledge economy, the service economy, based on services, based on knowledge, and to stay competitive in this new world, in this new economy that will have, of course, many losers, but very much winners in it, you have to be prepared for it. And prepared for it means we need a high-quality broadband infrastructure. This knowledge economy and all this information technology impacts our life. It's our private life, it's our leisure, it's our healthcare systems, it's our work, it's teleworking, e-working, all these things that will be impacted by broadband technology. Even the careers, it is no longer necessary to talk about teleworking. It can happen now if you have the right infrastructure behind it. Because if you see all the words, teleworking, e-learning, information workers, e-medicine, we are talking about that since 20, 30 years already. Many people that are here from the press maybe have written the first articles about that in the 80s. There was a hype about it, but it never happened. And the reason was that the bottleneck was the information and communication technology. And if you try to remove this bottleneck by saying we are looking forward to an infrastructure that gives the bandwidth that is needed, meaning high-speed symmetrical bandwidth, then we are going forward to fiber to the home. And the big chance, I think that is also existing here in Romania, is that if you build up new infrastructure, it makes sense to build up these new infrastructures based on fiber, not use old technologies. On this one comment, we are not against wireless technologies. We are not against mobile technologies. So this is something that might some people think now, because the mobile technology, wireless LAN, WiMAX, all these things will also be very, very important in the future. But we see two different behaviors in using them. You will have fiber to the home, real broadband connections at home, stationary, where you need it for HDTV, for teleworking, for video conferencing, etc. But in addition to that, you will not stop work on a mobile basis. You want to have your wireless LAN when you have your laptop with you. You want to have your telecommunication, your mobile phone with you. These are two different types of technology, so it makes no sense to say they're fighting, competing against, but to say these are technologies that should work together on this future basis. And it is extremely important, as we are talking about a new infrastructure, not using old technologies, but really using a new infrastructure, that we act now. Because if someone is deciding to make fiber to the home now, this is a mid or long-term project. You can look at all the announcements in Europe. It's 5 to 10 years if a city wants to become fully equipped with fiber to the home. So the decisions for that have to be made now to make sure that we have this infrastructure ready when we need it in Europe, when we need it here in Romania to move forward. This is the message I wanted to bring with you, and I would really like to invite you to Paris at the end of February. We only discussed this topic there, and there are positive signs that even European Commissioner Viviane Reding will be there.